are set for heat number 2 of the tiebreak.
And I think one lesson that we learned from heat 1 is that you have to be ready at the start line, and it's a sprint even to the bags. You've got to race to get set up, pick it up in stride, and be taking that first step and run to the finish line in order to have success. No hesitations.
Top 10 athletes in the overall standings now taking the field for their run of the Jerry Can't Carry. And again, these times only come into play if there is a tie in the Texas Open.
Jerry, what are some things that you keep in mind even with a carry like this?
Just looking at it right now, the transition from that initial sprint into the bag to grab those handles smoothly, but having some grasp on it so you can take on the run, and that short change that first initial grip on.
30 seconds before we start the second and final heat of the tie break. Then we will get into the main portion of this event. Alexis Raptis, who made the most of that appeal in the last event. Here we go. And yet Brandon is running over those sticks. She's in the white top. Brandon losing her balance. And it's going to be Laura Horvath who comes across first. And Brandon took a risk, but it did not pay off. She's going to take 10th in that heat. But again, if she takes care of business in the Texas Open, that will not matter.
Yeah, that's what you got to do as an athlete. Sometimes you got to roll the dice and lay it on the line in order to try to create the best advantage possible. I mean, Danielle Brandon probably with an understanding under heavy loads. She doesn't know how this event's going to play out for her specific capacity. She tried to take a chance and set herself up for success.
Bluetooth mode.
And unfortunately, sometimes that's what end result.
Danielle Brandon has been really good at playing with strategy. She did that at the games with the tiebreak in the sandbag over the bar. It actually paid off for her, and a lot of people adopted that technique where she went lightest to heaviest. But did not pay off for her here in the tiebreak. Event number 7 of 10 here. The last event of the day, the Texas Open. It's just a 1-rep max log lift. What are the keys to being successful?
AUX mode.
You know, I can take the back seat with Jerry on this.
Bluetooth
I know that he's got a couple. I made a point to list though, Jerry. When the arms bend, the power begins for this particular movement, where it's like they've got to lap it with some bent arms commonly to get it to where they can now then use leverage and maximize that hip contribution to get it to the front row.
So really it's two ways to come off the mat. So you can have that bent arm straight into lap, but as you go ahead and you want to get the top of the abdomen. That way, as you start coming up and throwing the hips through, that rolls right up to rack position. The elbows are high and you're in a good position to press that through. All right.
Danny Spiegel, who did very well in the sandbag ladders across the games, won that event.
Soulmate is connected. Bluetooth off. Soulmate is connected.
8th place finish in the duel, too.
And she's simply strong with a listed clean jerk max at 270 pounds. I wonder what the carryover from an Olympic lift like that then we can see into a lift with the long.
I would expect her to do great.
Soulmate is connected.
Power on. Bluetooth mode. AUX mode.
Keep your elbows high, doesn't use your elbows. The log rolls forward, then it's out in front of you trying to press it. And I think wants to go straight overhead. So if she holds that rack position well and uses that explosive power she has, she's going to do very well.
And one thing that we understand is technique matters, no matter what it is that you're lifting while. There's variance between a barbell and the diameter of a barbell versus a log. a lot of our athletes are used to generating force immediately off the floor and then being able to use their speed because of the width that is created in the bar as that bar gets weightless. There's really not a time that log is going to become weightless for them in this lift.
No, never. If you come to the clean, it's going to rest for a second in the rack, and then you're just going to have to explode out off your chest and keep that thing moving. That's why it's very critical in that rack position to hold that rack position through the push press and straight over your head. You can't look at that log. It's got to be against your chin with your eyes in the air, and it's just got to go straight over your head.
And I know that for me particularly, if I lined up and you tried to coach me through one of this, that'd be one of the hardest habits for me to break is being willing to look up, arch through my low back a little bit, stay tight to my glutes in order to protect my low back and still be able to create the force through the ground.
It's very hard to have the commitment, be used to the commitment of taking your eyes off it and just launching it off your chest without trying to watch it. Because a lot of times when an athlete tries to watch it, it will go away from it, push away from it.
I love it. And there's some great things for us to be behind and watching through as we watch the competitors get ready to take the floor. And of course, they're going to do it in groups of 4 to start, right, Sean?
They will go out 4 at a time. As they complete lifts, they will move on, and we will add 10 pounds per round. So we get down to a winner.
One of the biggest things I would watch for in these early rounds is the athletes that have the technique really down and they're really sound in the clean and in the rack position and the press, that they can carry that on through each round. Where the other athletes maybe are trying to search and watch other athletes trying to learn as they go. That's going to be really crucial if they can just save energy and be the most efficient on each round as they go up.
Here's the start list for event 7. The first 4 athletes out will be Andrea Solberg, Annika Greer, Olivia Kerstetter, and Bailey Rogers. Seconds before we get things kicked off. The opening weight, 160 pounds. Again, from left to right, Andrea Solberg, Annika Greer, Olivia Kerstetter, and Bailey Rogers. Bailey Rogers is good, so is Kerstetter. Solberg's going to jerk it, and Annika Greer with a push jerk. So 4 different techniques on display in the opening round, but they were all successful.
They're all solid lifts. One thing I would say on a couple of them on the cleans, where they're trying to kind of jerk it from the thighs, as it gets heavier later rounds, it's going to be tougher to do. The lightweight, you can kind of get away with that. So the ones that were lapped it, a little more control on the clean, I would say are setting themselves up a better chance for the heavier rounds.
And what you're saying there, Jerry, is that they really want to get it as high in the abdominals as possible before they even initiate that hip drive.
Yes, because when this log gets heavy, this is a weight now they can all handle very well. They're all strong enough to yank it from the thigh. But when it gets heavier, it's going to have to be more efficient and get the top of the abdomen so you can just roll it to their chest.
Next 4, Jacqueline Dahlstrom, Manon Anganez, Emma McQuaid, and Danny Spiegel on the far right. She's closest to the camera. Now on the right side of your screen. That was no problem for her. McQuaid is good, Anganez, and Dahlstrom all get through.
A good round, easy lifts. Really fast on that one split jerk.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages is a lot of these athletes are going to be able to explode the weight. If they use their speed properly overhead, it's just in that dip and drive phase. Can they traject it in a straight line instead of up and around their face or out in front of them?
Yeah, exactly. Gotta hold that rack position tight. That way the power can generate up overhead.
Next 4 went out. Carolyn Prevo, Matilda Garge, Ariel Lowen, and Alexis Raptis. Garge is good, Raptis is good, Prevo no problem, and Ariel Lowen gets through. So far, all 12 athletes who have lifted have been successful. Next four, Cara Saunders, Amanda Barnhart, Emma Lawson, and Ellie Turner. There's Emma Lawson, who comes in 6th place overall. Was the overall leader at one point yesterday. But was coming off her worst finish of the competition in 12th place in the duel 2. Barnhart, Saunders, Lawson, and Turner all good. 4 athletes remain. And then we will increase the weight to 170 pounds.
I would expect these early rounds, these incredible athletes, they should crush these early rounds. Which is what we're seeing right now. They're all handling very well.
Yeah, it looks very easy for all the ladies that have taken up the log thus far. And it brings up an interesting topic in regards to where our community is and where our sport is. How much exposure do they have to this? Had they thought about this in the future? Was it not until they heard the announcement that this was actually going to be an apparatus the first time they ever touched it? And where could they even find one in their area? Luckily, with the growth of Strongman, we're starting to see some of these implements appear locally or regionally, at least, so that they can go find them somewhere.
Well, I think that's one of the coolest things right now. What's happening in a lot of CrossFit gyms is they're kind of merged with CrossFit and Strongman implements.
Danielle Brandon, Gabby McGowan, Annie Thorsauer, and Laura Horvath, the last 4 to go at 160, and all of them are able to complete their lifts, so all 20 women still alive here, as we will increase the weight to 170 to start round 2. Olivia Kerstetter, making her individual competition debut, 16 years old.
And these aren't the typical row log you buy from row online. These are specially made for this competition to simulate that wood when they're going to get to the later rounds. That way it's not going to be such a shock when they get to that big wood log. These are made special just for this. So there's a little more cumbersome even than just a regular log that you would see in most gyms.
We're set to start round 2. The weight has now increased to 170 pounds. 45 seconds before we will start. And once again, Andrea Solberg, Annika Greer, Olivia Kerstetter, and Bailey Rogers will be out first.
And folks that are tuning in, unfamiliar with the sport of strongman, but very used to watching us move large loads long distances quickly in CrossFit, are going to probably put a little pause as they watch these athletes always hinge at the hip and weight. And the thing that I think is important for them to understand is that without the rip and the recoil, or the whip and the recoil of the barbell, there's the reason for the hesitation there at the hip, because that's where the power really begins for them as they try to get that log into the crease of their hip or into their abdominals, so then they can use that rapid hip extension to get it to their shoulders.
Yeah, they really need that hip drive, get that log into the right position, and then you can press over the head.
Kerstetter will make her lift, as is Bailey Rogers. Annika Greer going with a push jerk, and Solberg's going to miss.
Just missed on that split. That's one of the risks now in the split jerk is getting that timing just right with the log. It's much different than a barbell.
Solberg with another attempt and not able to get it. Andrea Solberg will be the first woman out.
Jerry, like you mentioned, the mistiming there, and the log ended up out in front instead of up overhead.
Exactly. Once it's out front, it is impossible. I mean, you want your best pressers in the world with the log press. The log gets out in front of them, it's not going to happen. It has to be going straight up and overhead.
Next one out, Jacqueline Dahlstrom, Ellen Anganez, Emma McQuaid, and Danny Spiegel. No problem for Spiegel. Anganez is good, McQuaid is good, and it was Jacqueline Dahlstrom who missed.
That time here, reset, try to gather herself. Focus on what didn't go well.
focus to get that in a really tight rack position, not to lose it. Because once the elbow's there, or the wrist dip forward, let the handle dip forward, it's going to go too far out in front.
One more attempt at the Javelin also. And she will make it.
Well, she nailed that press. Really, if she could clean up the clean a little bit instead of that tug from the thighs, because it's really affecting the press. Because you see how she really has to yank on it? If she could coil that into it, into a lap position, it would help her set up a better press, especially later on.
Carolyn Prevost, Matilda Garnes, Ariel Lowen, and Alexis Raptis, the next athletes to go. Garnes hits her press. Raptis is through. Lowen makes it, as does Carolyn Prevost.
It's really starting to show, though, where the athletes are going to find the struggle. And you mentioned this already, Jerry, but it's really keeping that torso in as much of a vertical position as possible. These athletes want to allow that log to almost pull them forward, elbows drop, less than optimal driving position, and then we see them struggling overhead.
Yeah, the hips kind of got to be rocked through. You want that weight kind of back over center, so the hips have to rock through so you're back on your heels, so you can generate that power up through your heels, hips, up through your shoulders, until the lockup.
There's something that we talk about with the power of using CrossFit as a methodology to train, and it's universal motor recruitment patterns. And we saw a movement yesterday with the GHD sit-up where the athletes laid back, and it really strengthens the midline against an undue change of the spine. This is a great example of that because they're under load, they're arched back, but they have to keep that position and have success and not let the load change, of course, the position they want to.
Exactly. They have to stay tight and hold that position.
Cara Saunders, Amanda Barnhart, Emma Lawson, and Ellie Turner all successful at 170 pounds. We have one group left before we will add more weight and go up to 180. The top 4 women in the overall standing: Danielle Brandon, Gabby McGowan, Annie Thorisdottir, and Laura Horvath. There's Annie Thorisdottir, second place overall coming into this event, but she trails first place Laura Horvath by 60 points. Horvath has been on a tear winning the last 4 events. Horvath, the first gun with the jerk. Brandon, Thorisdottir, and McGowan all still alive. Only one athlete is eliminated, that's Andrea Solberg, and we'll move up to 180 pounds.
I said it says a lot, a ton, for the level of these athletes. They're getting in weights that seasoned strong women do. And for them, they told 2 weeks ago what this event was, and to be into these weights already is very impressive.
Now we go up to 180 pounds, and 19 and 20 women are still alive.
Jerry, I had the same thing about that same magazine from the CrossFit Games. Some of the females from the strongman world were saying that because of the weights that Danny Spiegel and some of these other women were capable of, it literally pushed the strong women to say, well, we've got to get stronger. If these generalists are able to move these loads, we've got to be much more.
Exactly, and they found out about 2 hours ahead of time what that event was going to be. And right now there's some competitions coming up for strongman that they do it. Sandbag 2 shoulder. And they're struggling with weights less than what they did there. So it says a ton for these athletes.
Monica Greer, Olivia Kirstetter, and Bailey Rogers will be up first at 180 pounds.
Do you find there's a particular body type of women that excels at this long event where the longer arms help you, hurt you?
Definitely in a press event like this, we're going for maximum weight. The shorter lifters, the short arms are going to do better. And, I mean, it's just they got to go farther. But the lifters with the longer arms, longer press. But if they're efficient on the technique, and it should be fun.
Kirstetter gets through. Bailey Rogers is struggling a bit. She's closest to the camera. Annika Greer is able to stabilize that. That lift will count. So Bailey Rogers in danger of bowing out at 180. She has time to make another attempt. Wow, she's getting pinned by the log there, and now she's not going to have time to make another lift.
And that's an example, like you were expressing there, Jerry, right? She's not getting under and into the load enough to establish or initiate that clean.
You're getting the weights now that it'd be very hard to do that kind of that tug clean from the thighs. And you can see there, once it finally came up and she wasn't going to catch it, took it off her feet.
Next four up, Jacqueline Dahlstrom, Lenore Anganese, Emma McQueen, and Danny Spiegel. They had to make an adjustment to the log that Bailey Rogers was lifting, so they're holding all four athletes until the next window to make sure that we keep things as organized as possible here.
Yeah, and again, that's again a test of the athlete's psyche. Adaptation on the fly. You feel like you're ready to go. Your adrenaline's pumping, your physical and psychological arousal's there and peaked, and then they say, no, not yet. And you gotta gather yourself. You got no choice.
And that's where you find the real gamers that can make that on the fly change and not affect the mindset.
Yeah, all day. It's something we watch these athletes now through.
Round two here, 180 pounds. Danny Spiegel is through. Dahlstrom struggling a little bit towards the top of your screen. Anganese and McQuaid get their lifts to count, and now Dahlstrom really struggling with the clean portion. She's not going to be able to get it.
You can see how much she had in the lap. She was almost in a good position, but she's leaning a little too far forward where the log is out towards her knees. So as she starts to come up, the log actually is away from that crease of her hip, right? So you want to be a little upright when you get down to that lap position, so you can keep it close maybe to the hip. That way you use your hips before they drive.
And I really think a lot of this is a psychological battle for us so used to using a barbell. Because we're used to hearing Coach Bergner say, when your arms bend, the power ends. It's trying to stay as long as you can until you jump that way up the court. This is almost very contrary to that.
A huge learning curve. Absolutely.
Tilda Garnes. That lift will count. Alexis Raptis is through, so Carolyn Prevo and Ariel Lowen still out there, and Lowen fights through that. And here's Prevo. Just can't get that into the front rack position. She still has time. I don't know if she's going to make another run. She may. Prevo's got a chance. Not going to happen for Carolyn Prevo.
That was a great effort to come back and get that clean though.
Yeah, she said, listen, I'm at the Rogue Invitational. I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah, great effort.
Next four women out: Cara Saunders, Amanda Barnhart, Emma Lawson, and Ellie Turner. Barnhart, Turner hits the lift. Lawson will make it. Lawson did not make it, unable to stabilize it. Cara Saunders struggling as well.
Stay back on that dip.
Saunders not able to get under it. Lawson with another attempt here. And Emma Lawson is good.
Wow.
Huge. Not bad for a 17-year-old.
That's incredible.
Top four women in the overall standings to close out round three: Danielle Brandon, Gabby McGowan, Annie Thorstadter, and Laura Horvath. No problem for Horvath. Stumbled a little bit there, but that will count. McGowan's through. Annie Thorstadter presses it out, and Danielle Brandon stays alive.
Danielle faring pretty darn good with this apparatus so far. I think she has a tremendous overhead position. So if she can drive, get in a good drive position, she's going to have success as long as she can get it where she's comfortable.
She get a really great explosion off her chest. And being probably one of the tallest athletes out there, with right along her arms and nose, she's doing a really great job of getting that overhead quick.
We are down to 15 women now. As 4 more were eliminated there in round number 3, and now we move to 190 pounds. Monica Greer and Olivia Kirsten, 2 of the youngest competitors in the field, will be up first. Monica Greer coming in 19th place overall, but she does have 2 finishes inside the top 10. She's the 3rd of that 3, and then took 9th in the dual 2 earlier this afternoon.
Monica being one of those athletes, she openly admitted she loves to squat. So you'd like to think that some of these strength modalities will be in her favor. Don't have particular numbers though for a clean and jerk.
Olivia Kirsten is just 16 years old. Is extremely powerful. She has almost a 270-pound split jerk. Kirsten unable to get underneath it, and neither is Monica Greer.
Still plenty of time here.
As long as they start the lift before the 1 minute ends, it will count. And Greer almost had it. Kirsten will make it.
Wow.
What a lift by the youngster.
Huge lift. Had to come back and get that on the second attempt too.
Danny Spiegel gets through 190 pounds. She's out there with Emma McQuaid and Manon Anganez. Wade will fail her jerk, and Anganez is able to fight through it.
Great lift.
Very strong presser to be able to correct that and pull it back. So it was out the front of her at first, and she recovered well.
She took a few seconds in the rack position, which is time under tension. You can't do that too long. You can't hold that too long. And she did really well recovering from it.
You know, I noticed that in the strongman event. Those that had the best success in that particular event, when they got into that front rack position there on their chest, it was immediately into the drive phase overhead. And it seemed to reduce the overall, of course, time under tension on the track.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as you pull tight with that rack, you just go.
Emma McQuaid was unable to complete her lift in the last round. Now Azula Garnes fails the jerk. Alexis Graftis will stay alive. And now Ariel Lowen and Matilda Garnes still have some time here. Lowen's goes out. Garnes just doesn't look like she's got the power to,
Yeah, he just wanted out. That took a little too long there, right? There's probably something on the life.
Too much time on the chest. And you can see both of those last 2 competitors, their elbows are really low. So they're really buried in that rack position. It's really hard to push out of that.
Amanda Barnhart, Emma Lawson, and Ellie Turner up next. Barnhart will make that count.
Very easy.
Lawson is good, as is Ellie Turner.
Great recovery.
Lawson learned from the last round. That one almost looked easier. I mean, a bit unstable at the lockout, but
but still great shoulder stability and, you know, stability in general. They come back underneath that when he starts rocking that much.
Final four at 190, Danielle Brandon, Gabby McGower, Annie Thorstauder, and overall leader Laura Horvath. Brandon can't get the jerk to go. Horvath misses. Thorstauder hits it. And Gabby McGowan just too forward with it. The time remains here for the athletes to make another attempt. Laura Horvath is going to do just that. She gets to work on the clean. Bottom left of your screen. With Danielle Brandon. And Horvath recovers nicely. And she stays alive. Danielle Brandon won't hit it. There's Gabby McGowan, and she will make it.
Wow.
Looking right there.
Big second lifts by both McGowan and Horvath there. As I'm watching their drive position as they go overhead, it's interesting to me because, not to get too nerdy for the viewers, but when we work level one and we teach people about the push press or the push jerk, we really talk about stacking the shoulders and the hips in the dip phase. When I'm watching the ladies here, it almost looks like they have to drive their knees forward a bit more, and they can rely less on their posterior to drive the load overhead, simply because of the position of the log.
Yeah, like usually you want to push your knees out.
Okay.
Because if you dip forward, your shoulders will come forward sometimes.
Right.
But the ones that are doing it well, they've got their hips locked under, they're getting away with that forward, that knee bend, because their hips are under enough. But if your hips are a little more straight through,
Baby
you
Jacob.
want that outer knee bend to go straight down with the wall.
Got it. So whatever allows you to travel straight up and down that wall is what's going to optimize that drive phase.
Because it's so big,
So
once
E,
it gets out
130.
front, like you're seeing it, it's impossible to cover when you start getting heavy weights.
We are now down to 10 athletes as half the field has been eliminated here. The women who are still alive: Vanilla Anganese, Danny Spiegel, Alexis Raptis, Amanda Barnhart, Emma Lawson, Ellie Turner, Gabby McGowan, Annie Thorstauder, and Laura Horvath. And the weight has now moved up to 200 pounds. And it looks like they're going to go down now to 2 women lifting at a time.
And I know we've seen Sean a few ladies bow out at the same weight. We've already established the time. We've already set that precedent for that. So when we get the standings and we see the final results, we'll understand why the order is set the way it is, why they might have gone out in the same weight. Someone took the backseat to someone else in the sandbag race.
Danielle Brandon, Matilda Guards, Annika Greer, Emma McQuaid, and Ariel Lowen all bowed out at 180. And remember, Danielle Brandon finished towards the back, in the back of that second heat on the tiebreak.
Stumble on the back really hurt her being there. She had a great time going. Just took the risk and you're going a little too fast. This is going to be a big round. 200 pounds. It's just, we're getting some serious weight now.
Serious weights here. Unexplored territory for almost all of the field here. Unless they've been doing some secret training and certainly not posting it on social media, I can't say that we've seen ladies ever experience this type of loading with an apparatus like this in the form of the log.
First 2 out will be Olivia Kerstetter and Manon Anganese. Mentioned Kerstetter how strong she is already at 16 years old. Manon Anganese is a Belgian champion in weightlifting in the 69 kilo class. Kerstetter right to work.
Making those others high.
Unable to complete the jerk. Here goes Manon Anganese.
longer she stands there, his elbows keep getting lower and lower.
And they take it to go. First setter's making another attempt. Unable to get. Both first setter and Manganese are out.
Alright, here we go. And Spiegel's made easy work of the weight so far.
Spiegel on the left, Alexis Rathis on the right, 200 pounds on the lock. Rathis really strong with it. Clean, no problem for him. Spiegel, very easy.
She's so powerful that really not even the best clean, but she's so powerful to throw it from her thighs the way she is. Pretty impressive right there.
And we see that in so much when it comes to external loading. It's like if you've got enough of a buffer, you can get away with certain things that other athletes won't be able to do.
Here goes Alexis Rathis, who muscles that thing up. Just trying to find some balance here before she attempts the jerk. Not
Too slow.
able to do it.
Long term brace with 200 pounds across your chest.
And since Rathis bled over into that next 1 minute window, we're going to take a quick reset. As Amanda Barnhart and Emma Lawson will be the next two out.
Barnhart, another lady who has made all of her reps up to this point, but pretty light. Jerry, have you had the room close in on you ever going shoulder overhead on these logs, being like starting to black out? I've had that experience with clean jerks and shoulder overhead with a barbell. I didn't know if it's the same with the log.
It can. There's a lot of weight sitting there, so there's time under tension. So the quicker you can get that thing in the rack and get it going overhead, much better off you're going to be. Because yeah, it's sitting there. You breathe in. Once the shoulders start dropping, the elbows start dropping, start wavering too much, your chances of getting your sleep less and less.
Here go Barnhart and Lawson. Barnhart unable to press it out. He looked good.
Just get out in front of her a little too far to recover.
Lawson really had to wrestle that walking up to her shoulders.
What would you try to cue Barnhart there? On the left, what would you?
Elbows higher and then hold those wrists. So if those wrists move forward, the elbows drop, it's going to bring that log forward. So your wrists have to be solid, elbows got to be high, and those handles need to be pointing towards the sky. Have that log right against your chin, looking at the sky. A good hit.
150.
Probably didn't feel like she had the juice for it.
First one took too much out of her, I think. We're getting to the weights now that to come back on the second attempt is very hard to do.
Neither Barnhart nor Lawson able to get through the 200-pound lift. And here come Ellie Turner and Gabby McGowan. Turner and McGowan struggling with the cleats.
About half of that minute remaining.
All for her second attempt on the record for Ellie Turner. Turner almost had it.
So close.
Now unable to make her lift.
Great attempts.
Danny Spiegel, so far the only woman to get through this wave is Annie Thorisson and Laura Horath. Will be the final two women to lift here.
Both of them look really solid on the last round. Even though Morgan had to take a second attempt at it, she still, when she hit the second, was very solid.
Yeah, it was almost like her miss was a bit of a mental lapse, lack of focus.
Yeah, it's all it can take 200 logs. You know, it is a technical lift. Staying in position. So come out of position just a little bit and kill the lift. So just come back and correcting that sometimes. It's not a big difference.
Same situation as last time. We got the athletes lead over in the next 1 minute window. So Annie Thorstad and Laura Horvath have extra time to stand there and think about their attempts at 200 pounds. Overall leader Laura Horvath. 2 times finish going on Annie Thorstad. Horvath. With the clean. Thorstad with that to the chest.
There we go.
Horvath almost got that. Thorstad unable to complete the lift.
She's over for a long time in rack position. Well, she's still getting lower and lower.
Thorstad and Horvath making the second attempt.
Wow.
Annie Thorstad unable to complete the lift. Danny Spiegel and Laura Horvath will move on.
Game on, and you love to see it. Hey, Horvath said, you're not going to come between me and my streak. That easy. Hold the phone, Spiegel.
Absolutely amazing. Both the last 2 rounds, she's had to come back on that second attempt to get that.
Yeah, I really think that's a note to her overall condition.
It is. It's huge. You're getting the weights that you see most of them have no shot on the second attempt.
With 2 athletes remaining, we will now move to the Texas team. Sitting out there on home plate. I'm not going to get to that yet, actually. We're moving one of the other rods up to the main platform that is in the middle. The weight will go up to 210. Danny Spiegel and Laura Horvath are the 2 athletes left lifting. And we talked about this earlier, Avery, but Laura Horvath needs to bank as many points as she possibly can right now with this deficit handstand push-ups on the parallel and looming tomorrow.
Yes, and this is a repeat workout that we have on the horizon from 2019. And Laura Horvath had a really, really big problem back then. And in fact, I don't know that she was able to register 1 strict handstand push-up, and I'm quite sure that, that DNF'd the rest of the competition for her. So there's going to be a lot of pressure come morning time. So she wants to ride this high and accumulate as much of a gap on the field as she can. And she's doing what she can right now.
Yeah, she really has been incredible in this long. Especially these last 2 rounds to miss. You come back in the second attempt on those heavy rounds and crush it.
Yeah, one fight, Jerry. I don't know if you've been able to see so far, but Laura has literally won
Be ready.
4 events in a row. 100 points running them up all the way.